Hey guys, and welcome to the Alabama Saltwater Fishing Report presented by Angelo DePaola, the Coastal Connection with eXp Realty. The first podcast to bring you the local inshore, offshore, and onshore fishing report, whether it's good, bad, or ugly. We have a great show lined up this week, but first, let's see who's making the show possible. This week's Alabama Saltwater Fishing Report is brought to you by Great Days Outdoors magazine. If you hunt or fish in Alabama or the Deep South, you know that it's different down here. Spawning seasons, patterns, and food sources are not the same as they are in other areas of the country. At Great Days Outdoors magazine, Southern outdoor writers pick the brains of the best Southern hunters and anglers and give you the best how-to, where-to, and when-to articles, along with so much more. Pick up a Great Days Outdoors magazine subscription and become a better Southern outdoorsman. Great Days Outdoors magazine can be found at your local Barnes & Nobles, Books A Million, Tractor Supply Company, Rural King, Bass Pro Shops, or you can save and buy online at greatdaysoutdoors.com. And also brought to you by Photonis Defense is proud to offer the PD Pro line of night vision systems. The PD Pro series is the world's smallest and lightest night vision goggles built around the Photonis 16mm filmless 4G image intensifier tubes and their hybrid filmless 18mm image intensifier tubes. The ultralight, ultra-compact night vision systems deliver cleanest image, best resolution, smallest, most transparent halo, and best overall performance and function of any night vision system available. The PD Pro line consists of the PD Pro M 16mm monocular, the PD Pro B 16mm binocular, and the PD Pro Q panoramic night vision system. Photonis Defense, masters of darkness. All right, folks, I'm your host, Butch Theory, and I'm joined today with my trusty co-host, as always, Joe Baya. How we doing today, Cap?
Butch, we got a special show today, and there's a lot of new technology coming out in the world of fishing, period. But one of the most exciting things for me is lithium batteries. I personally am very interested in this technology. I haven't converted myself yet. All of the literature that you see around it is very promising, but it does come up with a higher upfront payment. So today we're going to really dive in deep and learn some of the ins and outs of lithium marine batteries and really just try to figure out if it's worth it or not to make the investment. Have you had a chance to use lithium on a boat yet?
I have not, man. And I know, there's tons of things that always need to be run by batteries on boats, and you got to keep them constantly charged in order to be productive on the water. And researching, things that we're going to be asked during this podcast, there's a lot to it, man. It's a lot of things that you need to be educated on before you go down that rabbit hole of lithium.
Yeah, I think it's something that maybe it might be a little more complex than some might think, but there's some things that may surprise you as well. So let's get right into it, man. Joining us today, we got Pettingale. He is the Director of Product Management for lithium batteries with Discover Battery. And we got Mathew Campbell, the Director of Marketing with Discover Battery. And they manufacture all types of lithium batteries, including lithium marine batteries. So guys, welcome to the show. We're going to be digging in today. But first, before we do that, tell us a little bit about Discover Battery, where you guys are headquartered, what areas you serve, what different kind of batteries you make.
Thanks for having us on, by the way, Joe and Butch. Great to be here. Obviously, we've got an awful lot to say about lithium batteries and a lot of knowledge that we've built up over the years. And I would begin by saying, Discover Battery is a global manufacturer of batteries. We have 3 different manufacturing facilities in Asia where our batteries are produced, and we distribute batteries all over the world. Despite the fact that we're here to talk about lithium batteries today, the majority of our business is still in the lead acid world today. So, all of our history of manufacturing really started with lead acid. So we have a very strong understanding of what those batteries do and how they operate. And of course, we made the transition, or in the process of transitioning and working with lithium batteries for boats. But we've got a history of about 10 years now working with lithium batteries, predominantly in the stationary space with solar and with some of our industrial applications. So we're certainly not a stranger to the lithium side of our business at all. We've got some really good background there, and I think Derek will certainly be able to dig into a lot more of the meat of what we do in the lithium space. But make no mistake, we do make lead acid batteries as well. So we're certainly not a proponent of the fact that lead acid is necessarily the wrong battery. It just depends on the application, how you plan on using it. So, obviously we're here to talk lithium today, and happy to answer any questions that you may have. And I think we've got tons of answers and be able to help you out on that side of things for sure.
Yeah, we really try to be fair whenever we bring folks on to talk about different aspects of angling. We don't want to just bring someone who has an agenda, and that was one of the reasons that we came to you guys, is the fact that you produce both kinds of batteries. So we don't have to necessarily worry that you're just trying to bash lead acid to promote lithium. You guys do both, and they're the right choice for different people. So first thing right out of the gate, every time I go to the post office, they want to know, am I shipping lithium batteries? Is this the same technology? I mean, are these lithium marine batteries safe?
Oh, they're absolutely safe. I mean, that's priority number one when it comes to designing a lithium battery. So with that in mind, we focused on, the lithium iron phosphate technology. So there are different kinds of lithium ion cells and batteries out there. The ones that you typically hear about in the news, regrettably in the news, are usually nickel metal hydrides or nickel magnesium type MMC batteries. Those are the ones preferred by the automotive. They have a higher energy density. They require a more stable environment. The lithium iron phosphate has, the highest temperature tolerances and that type of thing. They're very extremely stable batteries, why we chose them. Secondary to that, the batteries that we're talking about here have very sophisticated electronics, or should have inside the battery with the cells to control the energy in and out and how they perform, making sure that they do shut down and shut off, disconnect rather, when something is going wrong. So safety is a big thing. Initial design is considered, and we've chosen the LFP, and we feel very confident about that.
Safety is obviously the first thing you got to consider when it comes to anything, but especially when you're on the water. Mm-hmm. Now that we know we're safe, let's talk about what lithium is providing for the folks that are using it over lead acid. So, I think first, one of the most frustrating parts about batteries when you're on the water is battery life. Tell me about the differences between lithium and lead acid battery life.
Well, really important, and that's why the interest is really building up in lithium. So lithium battery is a much more efficient. All batteries are electrochemical, so it's chemicals and recombining and decombining to create electricity in that. And lithium as a group are far more efficient than lead acid there. So energy density is up, so that means more energy in the same space, which also lowers weight. Those are the two front things that you'll notice. Lithium battery has a much larger capacity for the same space as does lead acid, and it also weighs a lot less, so you can pick them up and move them around. Sort of moving forward from that, they charge a lot faster. The charging capability or the charge acceptance of lithium is much higher than lead acid. There are some technical differences between different lithium batteries according to the BMS of the electronics in there on their charge acceptance, but in general, a lithium battery will accept much faster charging. Therefore, you can go from 4 or 5x charging down to one time. So what would take maybe 4 hours to complete, you can potentially do in under an hour or about an hour's time with a good lithium battery. And additionally, really, they last much longer. All of that efficiency and just the quality of their construction, the actual cells being constructed, everything just lasts a lot longer. We're typically looking at, in a cell, tens of thousands of cycles, maybe in a battery pack such as ours, 5,000 cycles of life versus, lead acid, say an AGM is in the 400 or 500 range. So you're looking at, up to 10x the lifetime of a comparable lead acid battery.
Derek, I'm going to back you up a little bit, talking about charging. Do I need a different charger to charge my lithium battery, or can I just use the same lead acid trickle charge battery that I was using previously?
We would highly recommend a lithium battery with a lithium charge profile in it. Charging lithium is a little bit different than charging lead acid. So some of the key differences, lithium is higher voltage, slightly higher voltage. So you're going to need the charger to be up there just to get it to begin accepting charges. Like I said, the currents are usually much certainly higher because they can accept more and go faster, if you will. You're also looking at what we call basically a two-stage charge instead of the lead acid, which is what we call three-stage charge. So with lithium, there's a kind of bulk phase and absorption phase. There's really no need for float stage charging on a lithium battery. There may be some coverage of miscellaneous parasitic loads by the charger at that, but again, we're really kind of looking for a lithium profile, best thing possible. If it's not possible, one can use a lead acid charger that has a gel profile. Gel is close to lithium charge profile, but not exact, but close enough that it can be used for a while without causing issue with the battery. But long term, you should be looking at conversion to a charging device with lithium profile.
What do I need to know with regards to basically running down a lithium battery? I've heard some different things out there that basically say you can run a lithium battery all the way to zero, whereas a lead acid battery doesn't necessarily offer that. Explain that science behind that a little bit.
Sure. Well, it's relative to the the efficiencies and electrochemical nature of the battery, but for people that know lead acid and boating, typically the rule of thumb is 50%, and at which point your voltage is falling off and the battery's really struggling, so take it to 50% and then charge it back up. Whereas lithium, that voltage curve as it descends in capacity as it's being consumed and discharged remains very high until very near the end. So the voltage is very strong right through the discharge. So typically, most lithium batteries are marketed, with a 100% depth of discharge promised. They certainly can do that. Ours is marketed with 100% depth of discharge promise to it. But once you take it down to that level, it does need to be charged back up. Just like with lead, you take it down 50%, it really wants to be charged up. You don't leave a lead acid battery discharged. It's going to be damaged. Even with lithium ion, if you take it down above 90% depth of discharge, you're going to want to charge it up right away. The plus side is if you took a lithium to say 50% depth of discharge, it's not necessary to charge it up. Then it's it's fine working in partial state of charge until it gets down to that 90 plus depth of discharge. In which case, bring it back up, charge it again. Otherwise, you risk some damage to the cells.
So, I'm just thinking about my own personal situation in many years of boat ownership, and that was storing a boat offsite, in a lot of cases in an area where I didn't have the ability to hook up a trickle charger. So I'm having to kind of get those batteries charged up, leave that boat there with the batteries not hooked up, which I know it's not ideal, but just for most people, that's a reality. And so I'm dealing with, in a lot of cases, maybe a year, 2 years before I'm having to go ahead and replace batteries again, because I'm not able to maintenance those batteries like I should be. And I think a lot of people are probably in that boat. Some people certainly have the ability to just plug that boat right in, leave it hooked up, but a lot of people not. So if I'm understanding you correctly, one of the main things lithium offers is it leaves the ability to just either leave that battery discharged or charged without any real consequence.
Yeah, I think it's not a problem if you go on the weekend and you use it and get it down to 70% and put the boat back and come back tomorrow and start again without charging. That's not going to be of any consequence to a lithium battery. Fine on that. Storing them longer term. So if you want to take the boat out of water for winter, for us up here in the north, we winterize our boats and take the batteries out. In that sort of scenario, we'd recommend charge them up, put them in storage in a relatively cool condition, and they'll be good for 6 months or so before they need any attention. Probably longer than that, but certainly 6 months without any attention on them. It's just one of the benefits of the lithium chemistry is so much better at recombining and so much better at just longer life, much more efficient chemistry.
That's definitely a big deal to me. The other big deal to me, I mean, I don't know about you, Butch, but I mean, whenever I get to the weekend, and I'm getting the boat ready to go, loading up coolers, fishing rods. I mean, the thing I really can't wait to do is to go put some distilled water in my batteries.
Oh yeah.
Super excited about that. So, I mean, obviously we don't have to do that with lithium, but is there any maintenance?
No, there's nothing to do. I mean, we don't, you shouldn't be opening up the battery. There's nothing to go inside. There's no water to be added to them other than charging them. That's all you really have to do. Charge them and use them. They're pretty tough and robust on that. Yeah, if you charge them up before you store them, they're good for a long time in store.
You kind of handle the science of it. Lead acid battery, lithium battery, 100% charge, 100% voltage. Lead acid battery, 50% charge. Lithium battery, 50% charge. Lithium's giving you 100% voltage. Lead acid is not. Put that in your words.
Okay, so basically what's happening there, batteries, discharging. Lead typically has a high sloped discharge curve, so meaning the voltage falls off fairly steadily over the period as energy is being consumed. It's quite a bit different from lithium. Lithium is a much flatter curve, so you're getting higher voltage for a longer period of time as you discharge energy, giving you a flatter curve. That is really beneficial. Is it just gives more a bit more the power there, maintains power a bit longer. I think that'll help out with trolling motors and that kind of thing.
Yeah, to put something in perspective as an angler, when you're out fishing, with lead acid battery and you happen to set up your trolling motor, assuming you've got a trolling motor with a spot lock feature on it where you can actually set your position and you're sitting right in the current where the fish are and battery's discharging. I'm sure there's an awful lot of folks out there that wonder, why is it that all of a sudden as my battery's getting drawn down that the spot lock and the electric trolling motor aren't holding me in position any longer? And it's for exactly the reason that Derek's talking about, is those lead acid batteries, the voltage is dropping, and it's dropped to a point where the trolling motor can no longer keep up with the amount of voltage being put out by the battery. And that's the advantage of the lithium, is that spot lock and your lithium setup are actually going to provide the voltage that'll hold you in that position much longer, so that you can actually, using a fishing term, stay in the bite longer, right? Yeah. And actually catch those big fish that you're after. So lithium has a real advantage just from a performance perspective, just in holding you in position so that you can actually catch those fish over what you might find with a lead acid battery.
I never knew that was what I was experiencing. I mean, Butch, earlier this year, I was doing some cobia fishing. We ran out and it was rough. And so we just decided we were going to hang at the pass, put the anchor feature on the trolling motor and just kind of sit in the tower and watch. We're taking, 4-foot chop. The trolling motor's really working hard to keep us in that position. And then at some point it just quit. It didn't quit running. And that was what was perplexing to me, is that the trolling motor didn't quit running. It just all of a sudden took us all way off to the east, and I'm like, why is the anchor feature not working? I thought I had an issue with the trolling motor. I did not realize I was actually having a battery issue. And what I'm hearing from you, Derek, is that basically that lithium is going to put out as much voltage as it can, and much higher voltage than lead acid, until it's discharged.
And that's the case. So the equation is volts, amps equals watts, or watts of the power there. So the longer the battery discharge, traditionally the voltage in a lead acid drops down, and you got to put more and more amperage. Well, eventually you just run out of that, and your power just drops away there. If with lithium that voltage is much higher, can continue to support the amperage out there longer, so you just have more power over a longer period of time. Eventually it does end, but it's there for a much longer period as well.
All right, guys, let's take a quick break and hear from some of this week's sponsors. Killer Dock. As anglers, we put a lot of time, money, and passion into fishing, but most of us do not have a fish cleaning station that we are proud of. Many of us are suffering from dock dysfunction. A rodding table with rusty metal, this is just no good. But the dock enhancement that we've all been waiting for is finally here. Killer Dock uses marine-grade aluminum to make fabulous fish cleaning tables and stunning canopies that will keep us out of the sun. Killer Dock combines durability, function, and design to uniquely upgrade your entire dock experience. Visit killerdock.com to see more. And also brought to you by Hilton's Offshore Charts. The days of heading out and blindly looking for good fishing areas are pretty much over. Don't waste time and money on fuel searching for fish. You need the most recent, highest resolution images to not only know where to go, but where not to go. The knowledge provided by today's technology is critical when planning an offshore fishing trip. Make the choice that professional captains all over the Gulf make and choose Hilton's Real-Time Navigator. The easy-to-use interface and excellent customer service will have you on the fish every time you go. Check them out at hiltonsoffshore.com. And also, y'all take a minute to check out some Fishing Chaos fishing tournaments coming up near you. For Alabama saltwater anglers, you'll want to check out these awesome tournaments. The Alabama Deep Sea Fishing Rodeo will take place on Dauphin Island, Alabama on July 16th through the 18th, 2021. The Alabama Deep Sea Fishing Rodeo's tickets will be available for purchase on the Fishing Chaos app starting this Sunday, June 20th, 2021. Also, the 39th annual Condi Cavaliers Fishing Rodeo will be held at Dauphin Island Marina on August 7th and 8th of 2021. Tickets will be available for purchase beginning June 20th, 2021 as well. The Mobile Rotary 31st Annual Tarpon Catch and Release Tournament tickets are already for sale as we speak, and that tournament will take place on August 7th, 2021 at the Dauphin Island Marina. All proceeds go to support Rotary Community Projects or the Rotary Foundation, a nonprofit organization. More tournaments near you, info and full tournament details, including ticket purchases, can be found online at app.fishingchaos.com/tournament.
Hey guys, you mentioned the different charger. And I think that could be one thing that would be a con to a lot of guys. Most guys probably have a trickle charger for their lead acid battery ready to go. So they may have to do like with a lot of things. You get a new piece of gear, you got to get a few things to maintain that piece of gear that you didn't need before. But other than that, are there any cons to lithium over lead acid? I mean, we already kind of opened up the show talking about the upfront cost, but what about over time?
Over time, not so much on that. It really is about the upfront cost, and we could come back to that. But the other scenario with the charger, getting the right charging profile. So depending on the kind of boat that's involved in here, reconfiguring some of the charging system is a good thing to consider. So if you're doing this properly, you'll be wanting to get a lithium charger involved. If your battery battery system in the past has been charged off an alternator, there's some reconfiguration needed there to protect the alternator from being burnt out. Because lithium batteries are so efficient, they can really pull charge even at low RPM, and in which case your alternator is, the fan that's built into it isn't going to be sufficient for cooling. And there's the distinct possibility of overheating the alternator and causing that to burn out prematurely on that. So that's a kind of thing to be considering. So if you have a larger boat with a larger system, you're probably going to want some help having a look at that. Maybe have a DC-DC converter or a special regulator installed to help protect both the alternator from being pulled on too hard, and then also the batteries, make sure that they're not getting any spikes. One of the differences about lithium battery is it has electronics which are controlling it. So once it does reach a stage of temperature or current that's too high, it will disconnect itself. A lead acid battery will never do that. I mean, it's always connected, but lithium batteries, all of them out there, can disconnect themselves, and that can introduce fairly large spikes into a system. The energy has to go somewhere. So some consideration on larger boats for those type of systems is well worth the time to make sure your system is good. Once you get beyond that, we can talk about the cost of them and how that works out over time, which is quite favorable for lithium.
One other thing to add to, and I think apropos to trolling and fishing in particular, is what most people have set up in their boat, particularly if they have a 36-volt trolling motor, is they'll put 3 batteries together. And I think another thing overlooked and certainly not thought of very often is, from a charging perspective, is you really, and our recommendation is to put in not just a lithium charger, but have a charger that has 3 different channels, so you can actually charge each of those batteries properly. Because one of the things that happens if you don't do that correctly is that the batteries can become unbalanced, and in which case the battery, because they're so smart in the battery management system, or the BMS, is they actually can shut down and cease to function properly. So and this is why we really recommend having a proper installation done. If you're going to invest in lithium, do it right, set it up properly, and really invest in the right equipment that's going to protect that investment in the batteries, because you're going to have them likely for the next 10 years plus on your boat. So set it up so that it's working correctly is our strong recommendation.
Yeah.
Matthew's really got onto something there for the trolling motor guys. Traditionally the 312 volts in series, if that's going to be addressed with a lithium battery, 312 volt lithiums in series, single channel charging isn't going to cut it there. You need a channel per battery, so to keep them balanced. Alternatively, there something that's maybe not considered and should be considered if you're going to be upgrading the charger. Consider getting a 36 volt lithium battery. They're not like lead batteries. They come in different voltages. You can buy 12, 24 volt, 36 volts, and in some cases 48 volts batteries as well. So you may want to consider putting 3 36 volt batteries in on a single channel 36, so 3 in parallel rather than 3 12s in series to get your system going.
I mean, speaking of that, 3 lead acid batteries in the bow hatch of your boat is pretty dadgum heavy. It's adding a good bit of weight. So how much weight are we going to be dropping if we say do exactly what you say, Derek, and we drop from 312 volts lead acid down to 136 volt lithium or 312 volt lithiums? How much weight could we expect to shed?
Yeah, about half just the starters. So battery volume to battery volume. If you take 100 amp lithium 12 volt and 100 amp lead, ours will weigh half the weight there. So you work with that. There are a variety of combinations you can get into and increase your weight savings potentially, but let's just figure on half. Right out of the gate. And you mentioned that install location there. It's really important to have a well-constructed battery for that type of application, and they take a bit of a pounding while you're moving under motor out to your location fishing. You want to go fast and hard. That's okay with our battery. If you go online and to our YouTube channel, you can see some teardown videos and see what it looks like inside. We've designed a special frame chassis for it, cradle, if you will, to hold them all together. It's a very tight package. It's all bolted in there, really nice and neat. High energy density prismatic cells in there with a very robust connection from cell to battery management system, which again is tucked in nicely into the battery casing under the lid there. All in what we call an IP67 rated enclosure. And IP67 is essentially a near water proof type scenario. It's really good for humidity and wet conditions. Certainly perfect for boating and anything out there on the water.
That was my question. That's what I was going to ask. If there was any moisture or heat consequences of being in the bow hatch or something like that. But
and even cold too. I think I've read more.
Sure.
Is cold a problem for lithium batteries? I know I've read that.
No, cold does poses some unique problems, but on the discharging side, cold's not a problem. Lithium can be discharged typically to about minus 20 Celsius, so quite low. No problem on the discharge. It's on the charging side that things are a little different. All lithium batteries have to be charged at basically 0 degrees C or higher. So on a normal non-frozen, you can't charge frozen lithium batteries. That'd be a big problem. I wouldn't want to do that. So, they have a good temperature rating, discharging, no problem. A little bit of concern on the charging side, but nothing that's too strange, too abnormal.
So it really sounds. Go ahead, Matt.
Sorry, Joe. I think one of the challenges with all batteries, and I suppose if we really want to talk about the enemy of all batteries, is heat. So it's always going to cause problems with anything. So with our lithium battery, it's been designed to cope with some of the heat that's put out by the battery management system in the cells by the discharge and charging. So there's, if you're able to see a picture of the battery at the very top, you'll see a silver plate, which is actually connected to a heat sink inside the battery. So it actually helps to cool that battery down a lot more efficiently. Again, Derek referenced a video on our YouTube channel. It's also available on our website that really shows the differences between our battery and some of the competitor batteries, where there's no heat sink on the outside of the battery. They're all contained inside of a battery that's fully sealed. And one of the additional things we've added, which we didn't mention yet, is that there's actually a gore vent, or a vent on our lid of our battery, which actually helps to deal with those differences of pressure and moisture to keep the moisture out. So our battery is able to really handle that heat, I think, much better than what we're able to see today from some of our competitors.
Yeah, it's good to see that you guys have identified the problems, but then gone ahead and done something about it. I mean, rather than sticking your head in the sand. So, it sounds like to me there's just about every performance category, lithium exceeds lead acid just from an actual use in the field. Am I wrong on that? Is there anywhere performance-wise that lead acid just said, that's better than lithium?
Not really. The one area would probably be starting. Lithium is, there are lithium batteries out there designed and built for starting engines, cranking engines, but they require, extra technology in the hardware side and a little bit different setup. So right now they're, far and few between, and they cost a lot of money. So really that's the one area where you've got, the standard SLI battery, standard sort of starting ignition battery is still the best bet and the way to go for the time being. Soon enough, when things give us some more time, and we'll get that squared away and be probably offering lithium batteries for that application too. But that's about the only one and only thing. They're outstanding in the deep cycle range where we're targeting for right now. They have great performance for that. There's a few other things that are quite interesting. We haven't really mentioned understanding state of charge, for example. That's always key. How much is left in the battery? How long can I stand around fishing? If I got another hour or another 5 minutes? Not really possible to really get a good handle on that with lead. Try as we might for years, spending money on devices for that. They're not very accurate, and you spend a couple $100 on that. One of the things we've addressed with this battery, as I said, has electronics in it. There's digital control in there. So we're measuring all the energy in and all the energy out, which voltage it at, what the temperature is inside, all that's measured. We've made it available to the owner of the battery, to the user, through a simple Bluetooth application. So download it to your phone or tablet and have a look in there. It's digital, so the accuracy is better than you've ever seen and more reliable than you've ever seen. And you don't have to pay for that. That's what there's no extra equipment to buy for that one, and that comes with the purchase.
Sounds like peace of mind. That would be very, very, very nice to have out on the day on the water, to be knowing where your battery charge is at.
Oh, definitely. Really handy, really useful. Changes things a lot.
Well, you mentioned deep cycle batteries, and that really being where this is going to be applied. Obviously, today we're talking about marine lithium. Is this technology, is it ready for everything else where we use deep cycle, such as, I got a golf cart, I got a camper, is it ready for all that?
All ready for all of that and already used there. Certainly the batteries we're talking about here in the marine are entirely suitable for your RV. It's a very similar setup, and it wouldn't have any qualms about that. Many of the golf carts that you're out there riding around on, you're playing 18 holes, are already lithium. They're very, very similar. One of our batteries could be used in that type of scenario, although there's a few other control things to do with regenerative braking that's a little different than a marine application you got to consider. So talk to us before you attempt to do that with a lithium battery. But if you go and buy one, most of them already equip that because it's such a much better cost benefit proposal and longer life for those maintenance free. Those things that we're talking about here for marine pay off just as well in golf car business. Certainly, we've been very active in the solar industry. So all the off-grid homes and businesses out there, we have a big position in that market, and lots and lots and lots of batteries all over the world, in fact, for that application for the last decade or so.
So is there any difference? So like, let's say use me as the example. I've got a 48-volt golf cart. I've got a camper that's got a 12-volt battery. I've got a boat that uses 36 volts for the trolling motor. Are there any differences between the marine lithium line? Could I grab 48 volts, 4 12-volt lithium batteries and use them on my boat, use them in my golf cart, use them in my camper? Is it reasonable to believe that they would plug and play across devices, or are there differences in the marine side?
No, fundamentally, there isn't differences between the battery. If you're using a 12-volt system in your RV or trailer, that same 12-volt lithium will work in 12-volt system in your boat, for example. It's really on the charging side where things get a little bit different, and it's just they have different traditions. I don't know, that's not the right way of putting it, but different ways of accomplishing things. In our RV, you use an inverter charger, for example, pretty much charge everything. You go to a boat, it's pretty much always a charger, for example, more usage of alternator. So the setups are a little bit different. That's where things will deviate a bit, but the battery themselves will be the same, marine models, the same as the RV model. So
the big change is going to be coming and setting up to be able to charge, like we mentioned earlier, making sure that your system is converted properly. And you talk about the battery life. I mean, that's one of the biggest pros to this. So break this down to me in terms of like, I don't know, like you will know these numbers. If I can charge my lead acid battery 100 times before I got to get a new one, how many times can I charge my lithium before I've got to get a new one?
Well, a lot more, way more, to be honest. So, in the case of our battery, we're targeting about 5,000 cycles, and that's full depth. That's 0 to 100%, and then charged back up again is one cycle. So we're targeting over its entire lifetime 5,000 of those. Maybe we'll get more out of it if the conditions are great. But if you're looking at, say, a lead acid battery, AGM are really popular in marine because they're a little lower maintenance. Those, a great one would be like 500 cycles, 0 to the 50+% that they want, and then charge back up. So typically this scenario, and let's get to the elephant in the room, everybody's got sticker shock when they first look at a lithium battery going, oh my God, that thing is a lot more money than, my last set of lead acid batteries. But you're getting quite a lot more. And really the way to look at it, first of all, is back to our earlier point about energy density. So, 100 amp lead acid battery is going to actually give you 50 amps of usable capacity. My 100 amp lithium will actually give you 100 amps of usable capacity. So right there, to match that, you're going to have to double the number of lead acid batteries to get to equivalent of energy available to you on one cycle from my battery. Now look at that again, and it's be nice, say 500 cycles. So you go 500 cycles, great set of lead batteries. My battery's probably going to go 10 times longer than that. So you got to rebuy those lead batteries and uninstall them, deinstall them, et cetera, 10 times to get to the same space. So the longer you own things, obviously you're investing in a future life on these. You don't have to do maintenance to them. You don't have to get in there and change them and have people doing that for you. So that's the real thumbnail sketch of why lithium is so much better deal from an ROI and owner's perspective there are other aspects to it. We get into how the warranty is handled and things like that are a little bit different, that brings some, peace of mind and to owners. The lithium battery, ours is for example, we provide up to a 5-year workmanship replacement warranty, not prorated. I know the lead business and most of that's prorated. Ours is replacement. But on top of that, because we have, say, the digital aspects of it, and we can tell how much energy is going in and out, we'll actually warranty a certain set amount of energy through that. So for, all intents and purposes, performance of a certain level is guaranteed, is warranted by us, the battery manufacturer. You'll not get that out of lead at all. The battery is going to last. I tell you, the battery is going to last much, much longer than that guarantee. As we're talking about 5,000 cycles potentially out there. So it's a much better deal for consumers. Buy a set and then really get on with other things, and you don't need to do anything with batteries for quite a number of years.
I'm glad you brought up serviceability. I'm really glad you brought up, having to actually physically take out these batteries and put new batteries back in. My dad, in preparation for this year's fishing season, I'm not going to say how old my dad is, but I'll just say he's vintage. Okay. So he was having to replace all of his deep cycle batteries this year, and he's dragging his feet, like, Dad, you need to get some new batteries, I'm ready to borrow the boat, so, and what I come to find out, the biggest thing that was keeping him from replacing his batteries was actually just physically removing them. He said he had a really hard time getting them out of the hatch. They're kind of awkwardly put in there, then having to hook them back up in the correct series. It was just one of those non-starter tasks for him. So the decrease in weight and the fact that you're not having to do it as often is a great thing, because that just means less service. But what about service? So you're talking about your warranty. Do lithium batteries have problems? And once somebody's invested this amount of money, what happens if that problem takes place? Because can they just run down to the store and grab another one? How quickly could they get it back? And take me through what happens, problems that happen, and what you would do when those problems happen.
Yeah. So say there's not something seemingly right about your battery. The first thing is to go to that Bluetooth app that I mentioned. So try and ping it. If you can't get it to come up, well, then probably is something to investigate on there. But even when it does come up, there's a small diagnostic report in that can be emailed to your technician for help diagnosing on that. One of the things, typically the most vulnerable part in the lithium battery is the BMS in there. It's the electronics board in there. So, if there's a spike or some, surge in voltage in the system for a variety of reasons, that's likely the piece that would take the hit. So to protect that, we've built into each and every battery an external fuse. There's a little square right beside the battery post on there that will take the hit before the BMS takes the hit. That's a simple $3-4 item to replace with a torque wrench. Just take it off, put it back, and you're in business again. And it's going to protect from quite a number of possibilities out there. So that's first line of defense. If it gets kind of interesting after that, the lid of the battery does come off and can be taken out or taken off and replaced. And it's what houses the BMS in there. So for a technician and a torque wrench and a voltmeter, it's a pretty straightforward place, which is kind of nice because it makes shipping those things easier to wherever things are, a little easier to obtain. And certainly, we can support a service like that throughout North America.
One other thing to be said too is, and just back to what you were talking about with your father, is typically batteries, you're exactly right. They're heavy, they're awkward, and there's really no easy way to carry them. One of the things that we've designed into our battery is a really nice suitcase style handle that folds up. It's really easy to grab onto and lift out. So when you are struggling in the hatch or in a bulkhead somewhere flip that little handle up and you can lift it up. And the fact that they're half the weight of a similar size lead acid battery just makes it so much easier to move them in and out of wherever you happen to have them tucked away.
Yeah, absolutely, Matthew. Good point. Good point. Pretty easy to carry a pair of those around, one in each hand. You're not going to spill acid on your, best clothes or anything like that. So it's pretty clean and neat and easy to get around. The sizes that we've chosen for these batteries are done with, experience in our back pockets. So we picked some of the most popular sizes. They're going to fit in the battery box that you had your lead acid in. Some of that material that you have there is going to be reusable. It's the same cables that you use to join the batteries together in parallel and to bus bars and things like that. So, there's not, from that perspective, much that's different for when you're installing or learning how to do it. So any technically oriented boat person or, who regularly installs lead acid batteries would be able to do that. Just get some advice and help when it comes to setting up the charging system correctly so that you don't have issues and you get everything that you paid for, get all of that coming back to you.
I'm a buy once, cry once kind of guy. I like things that work. I like things that work well. I like not having to fool with them that much, not having to replace them very often. And I don't mind paying more upfront to get there. One of the things that's kept me away from lithium was a lot of the questions we asked today is just, can I really just plug and play with my current system, or is there going to be some conversion that needs to take place? I think you've done a good job answering that. What other questions should I have asked today, or should a guy who's in the market for new deep cycle batteries, marine batteries, or any of the other types of deep cycle applications that are out there, if he's thinking about lithium and he's looking at what's out there, what do you think they should ask when they're in that process?
There's one thing I would suggest, Joe, and I'm a bit like you. I'm a buy once, cry once kind of guy, but along with that comes, I spend a ton of time researching anything I'm going to buy and looking at it and understand, why am I buying, one product over another? And I would really encourage people to do their homework as they're looking through the various, and there's lots of different lithium battery manufacturers out there. Buy from a reputable company. For starters, there's an awful lot of product that's coming in from China that's just simply a label stuck on the outside of a box that's got no real research and development put into the battery management system, as Derek has mentioned, is probably the most important part of that lithium battery. And even on the construction, and we've referenced this a couple times already, but go and have a look at our website and watch our teardown video. It's how these batteries are actually put together. And when you see the insides of how some of these batteries are put together, it can be a little bit shocking. From a boater's perspective, handling vibration is a big deal. You're going over a lot of waves. I mean, you want to get out to that fishing hole as quick as you can, and you're pounding the boat along, and it's taking a ton of shock and vibration. How the battery is built on the inside is, although there may be a claim of similar battery life between one lithium battery and another, that's great if it's on a stationary application sitting in a garage or sitting somewhere where it's never getting abused. But really understand what is on the inside and how it's put together to stand up to the rigors of being out on a boat and taking that kind of punishment, day after day as you're heading out and going out to the fishing grounds, whether you're on the ocean or whether you're in a lake, there's vibration's a real thing and it can damage batteries really quickly. So have a look and research that kind of stuff. And if you can't find the answers, then I think the simple answer is, if there's a question, there is no question. Steer away from the guys that won't show you what's on the inside and what they're doing. It would be my best advice.
I think what Mathew had to say was really good advice. My advice several times has been to get a good advice on the charging side of it and the setup on that. So highly recommend you speak to people that are professionals in that area, and other boaters out there that have some experience using these to make sure you get things just right on that, because we don't want anything to go wrong, and we certainly want you to get the most out of the battery that's possible, and that charging system has a big part of the system. So Don't ignore that.
Yeah, you want these guys to find value in these batteries, because that means, and I don't know, 10, 15, 20 years when they got to replace them. Sounds like they'll come back to you guys. But no, that's awesome, right, man. So, to wrap things up, you mentioned you're sold all over North America and you sell batteries all over the world. If folks wanted to check you guys out, you mentioned the YouTube channel, where can they go to find a distributor, a retailer, and just to get more information about the conversion process to get some more of these resources that we're talking about?
Yeah, Joe, we've got our website is www.discoverbattery.com. There's a lot of really great resources on that page. And if you navigate to our lithium section, and in particular, the product we've really been referencing mostly here today is called the Lithium Blue. And so we've got some fantastic resources available. There's some videos on our website. There's a bunch of app notes and white papers that would really help people understand what it is that they need to buy, differences, and why you'd switch from lead to lithium as an example. The teardown video is on there. We'll very shortly be putting up an app note on charging with an alternator so that we can help people get through that process and understand that a little bit better. And then as far as where do you want to buy a product from us? Well, we don't sell directly to consumer as a manufacturer. We never have. And we do all of our business through our main distributors in the US. So Continental Battery, Battery Systems, and Northern Arizona Wind and Sun today are our exclusive distributors for the Lithium Blue product. If you really want us to put you directly in touch with them, we have a contact form on our website. It's to contact sales. Fill that in and we'll get your information directly to somebody who can help you and sell you a battery in the area of the US that you are located in. So that would be my best advice to find one. The turnaround on having someone get back to you is usually within 24 hours. Unless it's over a weekend. I know our guys like to head out and fish as well. So you might find if you send a note on a Friday night, you might not get a response back till sometime Monday, but our guys are really terrific at getting back to you, and we'll be able to not only hook you up with one of our lithium batteries, but also be able to recommend which one of the different lithium blue batteries is the right battery for your specific application.
Well, Mathew, Derek, it's been enlightening, and we really did cover really everything I know I wanted to know. Butch, I think your answers or your questions were answered here as well. We appreciate you guys joining us and sharing this knowledge with our audience, because I know there's a lot of anglers in our audience that are having these same questions. They've seen these products out there. They're just not quite ready to take the plunge, and it sounds like a really exciting technology that's going to make being on the water a lot more fun, a lot less frustrating. And so thank you guys for joining us.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Butch.
All right, guys, that's going to wrap it up this week, folks. You guys please subscribe, rate, and review wherever you listen to podcasts. If you'd like us to email you the podcast each week, just text the word fishing to 314-665-1767. Again, just text the word fishing to 314-665-1767 and subscribe to our email list, and we'll send you the new show each week. This week's Alabama Saltwater Fishing Report was brought to you by Sam's Stop and Shop is your one-stop shop located at 27122 Canal Road in Orange Beach, Alabama. Sam's has a little bit of everything, including a deli, inshore, offshore, and surf fishing tackle. They also have bait, clothing, groceries, name brand sunglasses, and so much more. Stop by and shop or call them at 251-981-4245 today.
This week's Saltwater Fishing Report is brought to you by Angelo, DePaola, the Coastal Connection with EXP Realty, your boating and beach property specialist. Check me out on Facebook at Angelo DePaola Realtor, the Coastal Connection, or call me direct at 850-287-3440.
And also brought to you by SunSouth. For quality John Deere equipment affordably priced, visit your neighbors at SunSouth. Visit your local SunSouth and check them out on the web at www.sunsouth.com. And also brought to you by Bucks Island. They have new pontoon boats, bass boats, bow riders, and aluminum boats for sale. They provide boat service on all kinds of boats, even if they weren't purchased from Bucks. Visit them at 4500 Highway 77 in Southside, Alabama, or give them a call at 256-442-2588. Also brought to you by Advanced Transmission in Spanish Fort. Give the professionals a call who have been trusted on the Gulf Coast for over 25 years at 251-626-6061, or check them out online at www.advanced-transmission.com. And also Daycool Heating and Air, pros pros at Daycool have been servicing Mobile and Baldwin counties for over a decade. Contact them at 251-633-5121 or check them out online at www.daycoolair.com. They are license number AL07028. And also brought to you by the Alabama Marine Resources Division. The Alabama Marine Resources Division reminds all recreational anglers that gray triggerfish, greater amberjack, or red snapper must be reported through Snapper Check prior to landing the fish in Alabama. For more information about Snapper Check, please visit outdooralabama.com. And also brought to you by Test Calibration. Test Calibration is your source for sales and service of diesel turbochargers and fuel injection systems since 1976. Contact them at 800-822-0057 or visit them online at testcalibratindieselandturbo.com.